Hey, welcome everyone. This is my channel Inside Knowledge. My name is Anand. So today's topic is basically I just want to start with this first share regarding the topic is a trade settlement, and I want to help many people who actually just like if they're planning to have a career in the trade settlement process, and if they have some questions, if they don't know what exactly um, the answer should be or how they should answer during their interviews. Um, I'm sure you must have gone through my couple of interview questions on my LinkedIn profile, which I posted, I think, long time back. And in my videos, like which I started a couple of months back, and I actually have one um, video that is for the trade settlement plus the trade life cycle and regarding the questions and answers. So frankly speaking, this time I'm going to use my question and answer which I posted long time back. Frankly speaking, that has been circulated many places, um, and I hope that will help everyone. If you have any question, I will. I post. I'll ask you guys to just comment so that I can answer your questions. If you have anything, if you're going for an interview, and if you are not sure what exactly if that process for trade settlement or the reconciliation, and if you're not sure about the questions and answer, how normally the interviewer will ask you, what type of question they will ask you, you can definitely shoot a comment over here. I can try to answer. First, my first priority will be on the trade settlement. Just comment your question. I'll try to answer. Then, if I have time left, definitely I have a bit time constraint. As per like here for Canada, it's a 10. This lifetime is 10 to 11. India has tried to keep it as 8:30 to 9:30 so that everyone can watch. It's a night over there. So I'm just waiting for 10. It's almost like the time 8:30. I hope is there, and I hope you enjoyed your entire day, and you must have done. You must have a very good day today. So let's start with my first question, which I have in my like in my notebook. Um, I have written it down like whatever questions normally I used to ask when I was an interviewer, mm, especially for the trade settlement piece. I remember sometimes back there was an interview happened like not sometimes a couple of years back. So I asked that person, "Can you explain me the trade life cycle?" Trade life cycle. He was a little bit confused. What exactly the questions should be he was expecting from my end. So he explained me the trade life cycle is the very basic way, um, and I really appreciate he must have studied that the trade life cycle. So he answered me this trade life cycle regarding like the entire phase, what was like they have seen in the pictures. But if you ask me, like if someone asks you, can you explain the trade life cycle? Then instead of going and following the pictures you have, if you google you'll get a lot of pictures on that, like, and they'll explain like step by step what is third life cycle. But if you ask me, I am not going to answer in that way what I see on the pictures. My answer will be is like I'll start with the trade life cycle. I'll break it down into four pieces. And if interviewer definitely wants to understand, do you have knowledge about the trade life cycle or not? My answer will be starting that it's divided into four pieces. One, we start with front office, then we move on to middle office, then we move on to settlement and reconciliation. These are the four pieces. So front office, just give them a basic layman language like answers. They will understand that at least you have that knowledge that what exactly the trade life cycle is, because frankly speaking they don't have much time like an hour for one person to take an interview. when you're going for the analyst role or senior analyst role. So start with the front office role. They normally book the trade, they agree with the client, they will agree with the counterparties that what exactly they're going to trade in the market. That's what we call the trading platform, where it get traded. So the front office will agree for the trade, and they will send out the instruction from their platform to downstream system, that is middle office. The middle office will pull out all those data from the system, and they will call the client. They will try to confirm and affirm the trades with the middle office, and they will pass on the details once it is fully confirmed with the clients. They'll pass on the information to the settlement. Like, they're not going to pass on. It will get flow fed down to middle settlement system. The settlement will work on the entire data what they have in their box, like for the whatever trade that is booked in their system. They can see, and they will reach out to the counterparties um, on the T, like I will not say T plus one, I'll say T, and from there they will start working. The fourth one will be the reconciliation. That's like one of the last part of the trade life cycle, where everything, when all the trades are settled, they are going to reconcile, and they have to make sure the book is flat. So these are means, if you ask me, I'll explain them in this way, like the four piece: front office, middle office, settlement, and reconciliation. And just need to explain them what exactly uh, their activity is. So even if you explain them one or two line, it is definitely uh, fine for them, because they want to understand, do you have the ability to understand the process or not. Even if you have not worked in trade settlement, if you explain them in a layman language, that will help them to understand. Now, if you if you ask me, like, as a fresher, if I go for an interview in a trade settlement place, and an interviewer asks me, what do you understand from the trade settlement process? So I don't know anything as a fresher, because I have never worked in that industry. But definitely, if I have to make my career in the investment banking profile, and especially trade settlement is a very a very known profile in the market, where like a lot of openings are there. And if really want to make a career in the trade settlement, then you should study little bit about the process. You'll not get any book, you'll not get anything, any articles on like when you're studying in the college. You have to look for the person who's working in test settlement. You have to try to understand from their end. And if I'm a fresher, treat me, I'm a fresher, I'm going for an interview, and ask me the interviewer asked me, what do you know about the test settlement? This will happen with me, like, I think almost like 10 years back. My answer was, because I had I done my homework a little bit before going for the interview, and I had no idea that they will ask me what is trade settlement. Um, so I was literally blank, because I've never worked in trade settlement, and that question was really very new for me. The next day, I was not able to answer in that interview, and I was not selected. I knew, I don't want to name the uh, uh, take the name of that organization, but yeah, I was not selected. um, the next time, because that was a walking round, so next day I prepared a little bit. I googled a couple of things, and um, I I'd worked as a trader in Shere Khan. That's like a long time back, so I had a little bit of idea even, and I wanted to answer them in a very layman language. So I studied a little bit, and when next day again, the same organization, uh, that was a walk-in, so they entertained me. And when the interviewer, this time it's a second one, a different person, so he asked me the same question but in a different way. Hey, what are the different phase in trade settlement? I was like, okay, that was something new. And like, okay, I use the answer from mine is like I was using my homework, like what I have studied in the night. I was using it. So different phase of trade settlement. That's a very good question from like the interviewer. But for fresher, it was definitely a tough one. For one, at minimum, if a person having a 1 year of experience, um, they can answer that. So I was my answer was like I know trade settlement in three P's. And three P's, if you ask me, I can break it down into three P's. That is, one is the pre-matching that's happened on the trade date. Um, then I'll say the confirmation that happens on the T+1. It's my wording. It's not written anywhere. It's what I studied. That thing came into my mind. So first is the pre-matching. Second is the confirmation T+1. Third, T+2 is the settlement. Why I broke trade settlement into three different pieces? The reason is to understand in means the process, and to explain them that yes, I know the process. So the pre-matching, he asked me, what do you know about pre-matching? So just be careful when you are in interview, and if you don't know, and if you use something which you are not aware of, you have never heard of that, then definitely it will backfire you. um Pre-matching, since I did my little bit of my homework, from now, if I have to answer, I will answer is the pre-matching is like when the trade get booked in the front office system and it feed down to the trade settlement area. There we need to confirm the trades, our trade booked with the counterparties. So the pre-matching means pre-match all the trades which is there in market, and if there is any discrepancy in economic detail, then we can use our like the contacts at the counterparty or the middle office at our end to confirm the details whether the details are correct or not. So the pre-matching helps you in preventing trade to get failed on the settlement. So that was my answer. And after 14 years, if I have to answer, definitely I'll answer in that way. That makes the interviewer to understand like, okay, he knows about the pre-matching. And now if what I answered, I can explain you. So pre-matching is definitely something which you confirm the trade. Like if it is not matched, if all the economic details are not matched with the counterparties, I have to definitely I'll reach out to the counterparty and ask them for the details, what is like discrepancies like in trade date, settlement date, money, price, total value, the commission. If it's a fixed income trade, the interest rate, and the calculation from the what calculation they're using. And I'll try to make sure the trade is matched. So that was my, and if I have to answer now, I'll definitely go a little bit in depth, and I'll try to answer them. Um, that's what I call pre-matching. Now, if I ask that person, definitely he should have asked me, what do you why you are saying like um, T+1 is confirmation. Like I'll say like, hey, it's the reason I'm using confirmation is like if everything is pre-matched on trade date, and T+1 confirm means like all the trades are matched, is going to settle in on the settlement date. That's why I say like it's the confirmation for your end to know that okay, everything is good and we are not going to fail the trade. So that's what I answered him, and he was like, okay, so just you make up that word. I said yes, I did, because I need to understand the process. So he was little bit okay with my answer. Then he asked me what the T+2, what exactly you will do, what happens if Everything was good on pre-matching and everything is good on T+1, and but on T+2 suddenly you see the trade is not settling. What is the reason? So I had to be I was not prepared for that question, because that was really technical for me, like when I went for the interview, because I had no experience. Now if I get the same question now, my answer will be that on T+2, if the trade is not matched, um, definitely I have to check what exactly is the difference between the trades, between my trade and the counterparty. So sorry for interruption. Like, in between, if any one of you have any question, definitely I'll ask you guys to comment me, and I'll pause my question answer which I'm trying to explain here, and I'll try to answer your questions. Um, Feel free to comment me what type of question um, answer you want from my side, and if you want to understand what means what type of answer, you can try to pitch in during your interviews. um, we are at almost 15 minutes past, and it's really good to see a couple of people, and this will be live. This video and the entire session will be on my channel, so whenever you want, you can um, watch this video. Mostly it will be not the full video, but it will be trimmed. So okay, now I'm going back to the my answer. So if I have to answer now, what happened if a trade is not matching on the settlement date, and you are what will you do? My first course of action will be check what like if I am answering the question, I'll answer it like, at first I'll check what are the differences, what is the reason that trade is not settled. Mostly 90% on that day, if the trade is matched, then on settlement date the difference will be because either you was short or the counterparty is short, in terms of shares, in terms of money. That could be a one reason that it's not settled yet and it's failing. And if you have to confirm like what exactly is the reason, if like if you're receiving the shares and it's like not settled, then you will reach out to the counterparty, try to get a confirmation from them what exactly happened. That's the one thing I means definitely my first check will be. But if I say like, and if I know like the trade is everything was that good, and even if it's not settling, and in like sometimes in Arrow, like that's the CDS platform, or Euroclear, like they have a Euroclear platform, there you can see all the trades. Like you can actually check what is the status on those trades. But some custodians, they don't have the kind of live status, so you will get the status when you call to the custodian, so or the clearing agent. In that situation, first check with the clearing agent, hey, I don't see that trade settle, and I don't see whether it's the DVP RVP trade in my uh, account. So if it is DVP, means you're delivering and you're expecting cash, you will reach out to the clearing agent and you will try to get an answer from them, the reason for that. Once you have the detailed reason like why it's not settled, then based on that message, you can reach out to the counterparty or the desk. Now when you reach out to the counterparty, it means you have to be sure like it's from their end that it's not, there's something wrong from their end, that's the reason it's not settling. So the interviewer asked me like what kind of situations you have seen while um, working on the trade which is not matched, and counter you reached out to counterparty, what was the situation? I said like, if it was a DVP trade, definitely we're delivering shares and we're expecting money, they are short with the cash. Then we can ask them when they are going to arrange the cash to settle the trade. They will definitely explain you like whether it's possible today or not. The second situation I have seen is like we are receiving it. We are receiving the shares, and it's failing because they're short of shares. We have money, but they're short of shares, and they will confirm you. The counterparty will confirm you when they are going to um, have these shares in the account. These are the two major scenarios you will find when the trade is already pre-matched and confirmed on the T plus one. These are the major scenarios. Now, the third one could be uh, that happens very rare, but it's possible that it might impact the trade settlement is the cancel and correct, either from your end or from the counterparty side. So cancel and correct. What could be the reason on the settlement date? He asked me, what could be the reason on settlement date that trade was canceled and corrected? So mm, from my side, my answer will be like there's no fixed, there's no set reason for that the trade will be canceled and corrected on the settlement date. um, it's totally depend what exactly happened in the front end. Like front end, if I have to say, like, means from the trading desk side, what the what actually happened at their end that they cancel and corrected the trade. Either you can go and check with your trader that, hey, I see the trade was canceled and corrected, and because of that I see the price is changed. That could be the one reason. Either they must have inputted a wrong price that was agreed with the counterparty, and later on they agreed, no, we had to trade uh, the shares at a price of this. Then the counterparty trader was he also agreed, and he said, okay, we will amend the trade, and we'll cancel and correct, and then we'll send the instruction. If it is STP process, it will directly flow on the same day. If it is not, it will fail on that day, and next day you might have to settle the trade with the counterparty. That's the one scenario I have seen like multiple time. Second is like they cancel and corrected because they wanted to buy or sell a couple of more shares to the same client, and instead of putting a new trade, they thought, oh, we didn't pass the settlement date, so let's cancel and correct the same trade, and increase the quantity or lower the quantity. We can settle on the same trade. We don't have to pay an extra commission or extra attention on the different trade. So they have done the cancel and correction on the same trade. Um, these things are mostly get agreed with the counterparties, so they know like what exactly happened. But at the settlements, for the settlements, it's like a little bit confusing that you already pre-matched, confirmed the trade with the counterparty, and on the settlement it failed because the cancel and correction happened, and the trade, some of the applications they directly send the cancel and correct, and the trade get cancelled and sends a new instruction. Could be possible counter at the counterparty side, they don't have that uh, STP process, and it might take some time for them to send the instruction in the system. So trade will fail, definitely fail. In that scenario, you should inform your trading desk that, hey, this is what happened, and we see there was a cancel and correction, so we just want to notify you that this might fail. Interviewer was like, okay, this is I tried to explain him in a very layman language, um, and he was like, okay, that was good explanation, and that he was a little bit happy. But in my current scenario, if I have to explain, I'm definitely using the same way because see, in interview, no one has time to wait for 1 hour to see to understand the entire process. They just want whether you know or you don't. So you need to be very clear and very short with your answers. So even if you explain them in one or two lines, that is fine for them. If they ask you what are the different scenarios you have seen on the settlement date, if it did settle, it could be the cancel and correct from the trading desk. It could be the counterparty has amended some of their instruction from their end. Like that could be they have changed the SSI. That could be they have changed the price that we don't know. We'll check with the desk. There could be they they matched with a different broker that you don't know, and instruction is now cancelled. That happens sometimes due to the custodian don't pay this attention on the specific trade, and they try to mismatch the trades. So these are the couple of things. Now I was asked like what do you understand if a trade is in matched status? So matched matched status means the trade is already matched in the market, but it's not settled. So it's not settled means nothing was exchanged. Like there was no exchange of cash or the shares or the fixed income bond or debenture. Nothing had happened. It was just a kind of um, the message was that both have agreed for on the details on the economic detail, and it's matched. That's what I say that I used T+1 as a confirm. Like I know this is matched and it's confirmed from both side. So I'm not sure that it's settled. It could possible that on the settlement date, either the trade, either if I'm delivering, I'll be short of shares, or the counterparty will be short of cash, and it's not going to settle in the market. So I, that was my answer for the matched status on the trade. And I welcome everyone, and if you have any questions, just post, just comment um, on the chat. I can try to answer the questions. And see, don't I'll say like not like don't think that question any of the question is kind of if you're asking a some bad question. No, um, even if right now someone like in an interview, if I have to ask, I ask them like, hey, do you know what is the trade means? That's like sometimes the interview will think he's an why he's asking such kind of question. So it doesn't matter. See, you can ask anyone any type of question just to understand what exactly they know. And not it's not that questions are bad. You can ask any kind of question. You're free to ask, and this is a free platform, and I'm not charging anything. So I'm just sharing my knowledge. And I really like to have some interactive sessions with everyone, so that I will, and I'm also learning from my previous experience what I have worked in the different profiles. So feel free to comment. There's no restriction on that. Now if I'm coming back on my questions of like normally what I'll try to ask the interview is that I have note done couple of my questions. I'm just going through it. So now one question I was very um, uh, I have used in multiple interviews and I asked them many times, what will be your course of action if a high value trade is failing? Now I'm sure that when interviewer asks you such type of question, like what will be your course of action if a high value trade is failing, it means interviewer want you to pay attention on the question and what is the reason behind the failing, and couple of things that it's a high value trade. If it's a high value trade, then definitely not only the value, securities will be definitely is really highly traded, or it must be less quantity in the market. So in that scenario, my answer will be like First of all, whenever there is a high value trade which is failing, um, my first action will be to escalate in to my manager, pass on the message to middle office and trading desk that hey, this trade is failing. Now, if trade is failing, that is a high value. You need to figure out if it's a DVP trade, if it's a RVP trade, what kind of trade is that? If a high value trade is definitely you need to pay attention and you have to focus on the trade direction. The reason behind focusing on the trade direction is because if it is a RVP trade and which is failing, means you are receiving shares versus payment. So you are paying, you are receiving. So and if the payment is a large, it's like definitely it's like if I have a large amount, then yeah, that if you don't, if it doesn't settle, you have to pay the fail cost. So you need to inform your desk that hey, um, we are failing to receive the shares from the counterparty, and the value is really high. So what action we can take in that situation? Desk, they have to intervene in that scenario, and they will reach out to the counterparty. Now, if it's RVP trade, definitely if they are short and you then counterparty has to pay attention. They have to borrow the trade from the market, and they have to settle the trade. But yeah, definitely for the high value fail trade, you need to reach out to desk. You have to inform them that what exactly happened. You should never sit on those trades. And my course of action is like every day if I'm settling a trade, first of all I do a sorting with the high value, and whatever the high value trades are there, I'll pick those, I'll work on them, and then I'll sort based on the the maximum number of the trade which has a lot of shares, like a high value shares, and a high max in the quantity shares. Like if it's a 10,000 quantity is the highest, the biggest trade is that, then I'll focus on that. Those also sometimes get escalated. So so straight up, the question is very tricky. Is very you must sometimes you will feel like, okay, what I should have answered. The answer should be is just flat. You need to escalate, because the high value you cannot sit on that, and you from your end you cannot do anything. So you have to ask, you have to escalate to your middle office and to your front office that hey, this trade is failing, this is very high value trade, and the reason for the trade is this DVP trade or RBP trade. If we are short or counterparty is short, you need to inform them about that. It's a very flat. You don't have to think what you should have answered in the interview. Escalation is the most important word that you should use in this scenario. Like what course of action if a high value trade is failing? Your answer should be escalate immediately to your manager, to your front office, to your middle office, and explain them the situation why it's failing. What now in the same context, they can ask you what you could have done to save the trade from failing. Oh, definitely. It's very tough to answer that what you could have done when you already pre-matched the trade, confirmed the trade, and now on settlement day you're not expecting the trade to fail. So um, interviewer they definitely want to understand that how do you manage your work in that scenario, like what you do as a settlement analyst, what you do when the high value trades are there, and what course of action do you take. So my answer will be is like if a high if a high value trade is there, it's not only wanted. If it's a 4, 5, or 6 trades are there, then definitely I'll my first course of action on the settlement date, follow up with the client. Hey, you guys are good with these trades? Are you going to settle the trade? Do you have enough cash? If it's a DEP trade, if it's a RBP trade, cross check with them. hey, do you have enough shares? Just call them, because that really helps sometimes to get a quick answer. And because you have a good rapport with your counterparties, so you have to call them. You have to make sure all these trades are good. Keep a track of all the high value trades in the on the settlement date. And like the first half, not even I'll not wait for the first half. In the initial 2 or 3 hours, you should know like the trade is going to settle or not, because you should give a priority to them. If it is not settling, first directly go escalate, because you cannot do anything if it's not settling. If someone is failing to deliver you or deliver the cash, then you need to escalate that, because it's not in your hand. You have to escalate the risk, because desk should know the risk if the trade doesn't settle. So it's very important from that point what course of action you have taken a day before and on the settlement date. um okay, I got a person. He messaged me on WhatsApp. um and he actually requested me a couple of days back that he wanted to be a part of the call. So I asked him, if you have any question, he can message me. So now he was asking me, what is DVP, RVP, FOP trade, and the difference between them? Because I used the DVP, RVP a couple of times. So I really appreciate for the question, as not every question is a good question. Even if you ask me what is my name, I'll say that's a good question. You should know. And if you have any question, just comment. So what is a DVP, RVP, FOP trade, and the difference between them? So um, I'm not sure how many of you have have bought and sold shares in your real life. But as a layman language, if you ask me, and definitely if you're working in the investment banking, um, first I'll say that let's try with the basic, just the basic. DVP is a delivery versus payment. Means if I'm if I'm a shop owner, and I have um pack of Parle-G. I like Parle-G, so that's why I used it. So if I have Parle-G, and if I'm selling that to my the customer, means I am giving him the Parle-G and I'm getting the money. That's a DVP trade. You are selling it out. You're delivering the shares and you're getting money. I know it's a very um, kind of funny example, but yes, that's how I have tried. I've in my entire life I have used such kind of topics to understand these situations. And let's try sometimes with your in your way, and I'm sure you will like it, because you don't have to use a complicated words. You don't have to use a complicated term to understand a situation. I always try to means to explain myself in such kind of questions. The DVP trade is definitely when you are selling it, you are delivering the shares, versus payment, you are getting money from them and they are paying you for that number of shares. RVP is received versus payment. You are buying the shares from the market. Like, you want to buy 10 shares of Tata on NSE or BSE. What do? You pay them, you get the shares. That's the RVP trade. You are receiving the shares versus the payment, then you are paying them. So that's an RVP trade. FOP trade. So FOP trade is normally it's kind of OTC product. It's a free of payment. So why and how like free of payment come in the picture in the world of the trade settlement? So that plays a very important role for the FOP trade. Is like free of payment means we are exchanging the shares, but we are not exchanging the cash. It's a very uh, uh, this topic is really, if I have to speak, I can speak for half an hour. Like, but I'll give you a short answer. It's a kind of stock loan, where you just exchanging the stocks just to lend someone if the trade is failing, or you are borrowing to settle your trade. That comes into FOP trade. So that's called free of payment. Means right now you're not paying any money, but you are getting the shares from your counterparty, or um, from any broker or dealer, or you're buying directly from the individual client. So that's how I normally try to explain DVP, RVP, and FOP trade. And the difference between them is very simple. Delivery, you are delivering it, you're getting money. You are receiving it, you're paying the money for RVP trade, and FOP is free of payment. Um, Thank you for your question. Definitely, I don't want to mention his name because I want to keep him secret, because he messes me, especially because I don't want. Is that okay? Now, if I have to talk about like my one of my experience in my as an interviewer, as a question, I asked one person, "What do you understand by the partial settlement? What happened if um, the trade settled partially? What will be your course of action that you make sure that this partial trade settle, and why it happened?" So, if I have to answer, definitely look, these questions are, you, if you are a trade settlement manager, you will ask a lot of questions if you know the process. And I'm sure, because normally I try to ask a lot of tricky question to people so that I can try to understand what is their view, like if they're working, then what kind of process they're looking after. In that way, I have made up a lot of questions and different uh, processes. When I see the resume, I can understand like what kind of experience that person is having, whether he's having a trust settlement experience. Let's ask a couple of questions from that mostly people don't ask. So, partial settlement, what do you mean by partial settlement? And like, how do you know like is going to settle partial, and how can you work on that? My answer will be like the partial settlement, the word itself describes. Partial means it's getting separated, like you are parting something, one piece into two. So the partial settlement means you are settling a trade into two pieces. 100 shares, you're settling the trade into two pieces of 50 fifty. 50 shares, and means counterparty is delivering you 50 shares, or if you are delivering, then you are delivering 50 shares, because you just have 50 shares. So you agreed with counterparty that, hey, I just have 50 shares, let's settle the 50 shares first, then we'll try to cover the 50 share remaining 50 shares tomorrow, or by end of the day. If that 50 shares settled, that is a partial settlement. Now the partial settlement, when happen, it actually impact the next day reconciliation. In that scenario, mostly reconciliation team will get confused. Hey, what happened? This 100 share is 50 settled, 50 is not. I don't see a statement for 50, but I see that, because when you're settling the partial trade, their trade reference are linked to each other. So they might come back to you and ask you the questions, that's not what happened to that. But for the answer will be, is like settling 50 shares now and 50 shares tomorrow, to make sure we receive the cash. The trade calculation and every detail should match with the counterparties, and we should make sure that the what we are expecting, then we can confirm the same detail before settlement. You need to inform to desk that, hey, we are short of 50 shares, but we counterparty has agreed that we can settle the trade as a partially, and we are delivering 50 shares to them. So in that way, the desk will confirm you. Either if they want, then definitely they will confirm you that, hey, let's settle this 50 shares to them instead of waiting for the remaining all the 100 shares. Let's settle this. Um, you can just, then you can go back to counterparty and confirm, I'm settling we are ready to settle the 50 shares, and we'll exchange the cash and the amount. Make sure everything is matches as per the number of shares. How can you avoid a partial settlement? See, it's not a question. Um, to asking an if a person is asking you, how can you avoid? Like, first of all, it's not in your hand. See, you are not a decision maker. That you're not a decision maker that you make a decision whether I should settle the trade partial or not. If you receive a request from the counterparty, hey, have we want to settle the trade partial, would you like to settle it? You cannot make a decision as a settlement analyst, because when a desk has agreed to buy a number of shares, there must be something on back of that. He must have thought, or he must be thinking of the price of the money or the market movement. A lot of things depend on back of that. So you cannot make a decision. Your answer should be, if I receive a request for the partial settlement, my first course of action, inform to your manager. If it's a very high value, it's just like a regular normal value trade. Reach out to desk and ask them, are you guys okay if we settle the trade partially or not? Based on the desk approval, you can confirm to the client that, hey, we are good with your request, and we'll move on with the partial settlement. And that's going to happen in the market, and then you settle it. So you when someone asks you, how can you avoid, you cannot avoid it. I strictly depend upon the desk if they agree or not. If they say no, you have to tell them no, you cannot accept the partial settlement, trade for settlement. So it's not avoidable, but it's avoidable, like from the desk, not from your end. Now, what is the role of the cash management team in the trade settlement? Now, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of the cash management, what exactly this team does. Just to give you a little background before I answer, my answer will be included into my explanation. So, what exactly is the role of cash management team in trade settlement? The thing is, when you have a DVP trade, um, sorry, let's take it in a way like when receiving a trade. Okay, so you're paying the money. Cash management team, they actually look after whether um, you have enough money to settle the trade or not, because they have to segregate the fund to a particular, if there's a trade booked as RVP, they have to segregate the amount of fund in the account so that the trade can settle in the market. So if you don't have that segregated amount, um, trade most probably, or if you don't have enough cash, the trade most probably will fail. So it's very important uh, to see, like, hey, what is the role of cash management? I remember a long time back, when I was working with the settlement team, we, like, every day, whenever I saw there was means if there is any RVP trade and it's really high value, I have to inform the cash management team that, hey guys, um, do you do you have enough cash to settle the trade, because that's going to settle in the market and the value is this much. So they should be aware that how what is the total cash they require to settle the trade. If they are short of cash in their account, then definitely it will get failed, and that might hit the account as well. That might hit the PNL because of because we failed to deliver the trade. So my explanation was the role of cash management team in trade settlement is they play a very critical role. They have to manage the cash for the particular trade and the book if we have enough cash or not. We should inform them if it's a very high value trade, before the trade, on the settlement date, or you can do it on the T+1, that we need this much of cash to settle this critical and high value trade. So they play a very important role to manage the cash from the different book or from the different sources of the with the trade we settle in the bank, and they will try to fund that particular trade when you're buying something, and they should settle in the market on the settlement date. Later on, they can work on the cash adjustment between the P&L from the trader P&L, that will help. That will be helped by the product control team, because they know which book was charged how much, which book was paid out from for that particular trade. So that's how the cash management team actually help you to settle the trade. Now, if someone in an interview, if I ask you, if they ask something a very tricky question, or might be the question you don't know, never heard of it, let me tell you one thing, that think of the process, try to correlate what question he asked you, and try to understand. Take your time. See, if you want 2 minutes, tell that person, hey, just give me 2 minutes. I'm just trying to connect the dots between the process, what I do, and the question which you asked me, how it is relevant, um, how it is interrelated to my process, and what I know about that. Just tell them. Being as an interviewer, I have always I'm always happy to have that kind of conversation with the interviewer, because it's that actually sometimes help the interviewer to think, either this guy know knows about that question, or he's trying to understand how it is related. And if he's trying to understand, it means he's trying to focus on his process, on his knowledge, and he is kind of RCA guy, means root cause analysis. The people who does kind of very involved into root cause analysis thing, like, if you want to understand certain process, you just deep dive and try to understand. That's, I call it root cause, like we know it as a root cause analysis. That's how sometimes help you, or so the interviewer, it would help him to understand, okay, this guy must be he has a way of understanding something. So it might run into your favor. So interviewer might think, okay, let's give him time and just wait for the answer. But when you are making such request, make sure that you have the ability to think and interconnect the process which you are doing right now. And if you don't know about that question, if you don't just then no need to just answer that anything, or like, instead of giving a wrong answer, just say, sorry, I don't know about that, but I can come back with my answer. Definitely they're not going to ask you next day that, hey, did you get that question, did you get the answer which I asked you? Should know that that's never going to happen. If that happens in the interview, just tell them, no, so I don't know, but I can come back, but don't expect that he will ask you the next day. Now, what is the um, if I have to ask, I know, like, many people, I think someone commented on my video, that what are the currency cutoff times, and how does it impact the trade settlement, guys? See, just to understand, you if you are in India, and if you are working for GBP currency, like for UK, or if you're working for USA or for Canada, they all have different time zone. You should know that what exactly is the currency cutoff. If you Google what is the currency cutoff, for example, if when I was working for UK, I had the currency cutoff in front of me for GBP, Euro, USD, and CAD. Well, these were the major currency which get traded a lot in the market. Mostly for the GBP, I was getting a lot of trades, so I should know, like, what's the currency cutoff for those. If the currency cutoff is depends on the reason you are working, you should have that in front of you. Just Google it, keep a note, put it in front of you. Yes, currency cutoff make a difference in the trade settlement. The reason is because what currency it is traded. For example, if you're working with GBP, like for the UK, and you're working on the UK time zone, but you have a trade that is booked for the for Canada or for the US, their time zone is different. So um Just to give an example, like if I'm in India and if a trade is booked from UK in the morning, most probably India time 12 p.m, and I think UK time will be 8:30 or 9. By that time, if the trade is for the same day, just believe me, it's not going to settle on the USD and CAD side. Most probably, because of the time zone difference and the market closing between the UK and US is very less. They only get couple of hours, like 2 to 3 hours. They only get in between both the UK and the US stock market to fulfill their requirement. So whenever you have a different currency trade, you should make sure that yes, the trades are already pre-matched in the market without any exceptions on the T+1, and they are good to settle, and you should have a confirmation with your custodian. So time zone and the currency cutoff matters. Sometimes it happens like if for Euroclear, I remember the trade is booked, and if it is for GBP or for Euro, just for example, Euro, the currency cutoff was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was, I think, 3:30. I don't remember exactly, but it was a half an hour. There's a gap of half an hour between the currency cutoff and the actual settlement. So why they do? Because they want to block the trade, that on this certain time, anything for the that currency trade, the trade will be booked for the settlement, and the exchange of cash and everything will be done within the half an hour time. So by 4, everything should settle. So I don't remember exact the time, but I can get back to you. So that was like the same answer, but yeah, definitely I'll try to get back on that, the exact time difference. And that happens because to safeguard the failure of the trade, and to make the FX and exchange, which normally the exchange use the FX rate, they try to just work on that. So they mostly they work on the current market value of that currency, and then they will try to settle the trade. It's not going to impact your trade even if the currency value is up and down, but it's for the custodian and for the bank perspective, because they have to report to LIBOR and different rate exchange. That's how the currency cutoff actually matters for these different time zone. If I'm working for the uh, UK, for me the GEP time zone is very critical, because we'll have only a couple of hours, so we have to make sure everything is in place before the settlement. We have, I think we just have 2 minutes left. Sorry, we have 5 minutes left, so we can try getting couple of more answers. So I have one very simple question that I have asked many people, like, what is USEC and CSEC? um is very simple answer. Like, USEC and CSEC normally used by the those who have worked in the Euroclear. They know like what term it is, because they mostly on Euclid they will see all these USEC and CSEC. So it's like you are you are short, and CSEC is like counterparty is short. Counterparty short of security. USEC is you are short of securities. So that's the very simple answer. And if you want to answer any one, like even if you don't want to use the DVP RVP, you can use the use success. It will look really cool that hey, you know something different from DVP and RVP trade. But just be careful when you're using it, how you're using it. So now I have listed out a couple more questions which I can take. Um, Next time I'll expect you guys to just comment so that we can get a couple of more answers, and on the straight away on my live, and I'll focus on only the question which you will be asking me, instead of answering my question but I normally ask. So let's meet next week. the same time. I'll share the same post, and that what time we are going to have this session with everyone and what time I'll be live. um, just prepare your question and feel free to comment. Like, there's no question is a bad question. Definitely you can ask any question at any point of time. If you really want to understand, I'm happy to answer any question. Uh, Definitely come back with your question in the next live session we can have. Mostly next one will be the same. I'll try to get the settlement, and so that I can expect more people to ask me question. And I have couple of people, they really want to join the live session with their question on call. So mostly next week I'll try to engage them on call so that we can ask that what kind of question they normally expect from people, or an interview they get asked, so that we can and I can try to answer them, try to explain them as well. Same with you guys. So stay tuned with me. I'm really happy to share my knowledge, because that really helped me a lot the to polish my knowledge and experience what I have gained from in last 14 years. Feel free to reach out to me, and this video will be posted on my live section, and you can again watch the video and come back next week again. We'll try to have some more interactive session with you guys. I'll try to include a couple of more people in my upcoming live session, so that they can help you and answer from their point of view, and we can ask them as well. Thank you so much. Have a good day and have a good weekend. See you next time. Thanks. Bye.